All right. Welcome to this week's little episode of how I view things and why it matters. This week, we're doing the only place you can find happiness. And yeah, some of you might have guessed it. It's inside yourself. Now, before you're like, all right, click. I, thanks a lot for nothing. I'm going to expand and elaborate on what inside of ourselves means. Essentially, inside yourself means that your thinking, the way you choose to perceive situations, events, phenomena, that's the cause of how you feel. Always. Everything on the outside that you take in with your eyes and ears, whatever senses, those external events are just events. They're not inherently good or bad or happiness inducing or sadness inducing. They're just things happening. Everything that you see is, neutral. And when it comes in through our mind, brain, our perception, it's filtered through all of our beliefs and thoughts that we've accumulated over the years and that we hold on to and stick to. So something that was neutral comes in through our perceptual filter, and now it has a valence, a positive or negative to us. So we're like, oh, it's raining. I don't like the rain. The rain makes me depressed. So you'll feel a little depressed when it rains, right? Does that make sense? The rain isn't inherently depressing. But for you, if you choose to give yourself that rule and say, the rain makes me feel sad and down and lazy, then it will do that because you've instructed yourself to react like that to that external event. Conversely, if somebody else sees the rain and they're like, oh, the rain, I just get stuff done in the rain. When the rain comes down, I just want to clean the house. I want to go to the gym. I want to do things. I want to read. I love the rain. It just makes me productive. And that too is just a subjective feeling that they've programmed themselves with. So essentially, your thoughts, your beliefs, whatever you're holding inside of you is determining how you feel. Your happiness is dependent on those thoughts and those beliefs that you habitually have, right? So everything has to pass through this internal filter you have. Everything that we have is subjective. There's nothing that we can see that is just, oh, that's the truth. We don't have that kind of power. Everything we do comes through our perception, right? So if these external events aren't the source of happiness, what is? It's the way we relate to these events by the thoughts we have and are giving ourselves is the source of happiness, right? So, for example, if you think the world, your belief, your core belief is that the world is a scary, fearful place in which every being is self-centered and bent on its own survival and it will do whatever it takes for its own benefit, then that's kind of a scary core belief for you. So everything that happens is eventually going to hit that filter and be doop, influenced by it. And so when little things happen, somebody, I don't know, steals an orange off of your plate when you're not looking. I don't know, you're eating an orange, okay? And that leads you to think, man, you can't trust anybody. Everybody's out to get me. I have to safeguard everything I have. I have to watch. I have to worry about everything. You understand? Like your thoughts go down that lane because that's the core belief is that it's scary. If, on the other hand, you think a thought such as the world is generally a good place and people are doing the best they can, some of the actions they take may or may not be the best, appearing, but they're trying. They have arrived at that place for a reason through their own experiences. And I understand it. At their core, they're basically good. The world is a lot more palatable, and it's much easier to feel like, yeah, it's basically a good place. Things are going to happen, but that's just all part of the world. And that's another belief. When you release this idea that it has to look this way to make you happy, that gives you a lot of freedom as well. If you cling to that idea that if I lose a finger, I won't be happy. If somebody steals my car, I won't be happy. If I lose my job, I won't be happy. If anybody I know dies, I won't be happy. If the lights don't all stay green when I drive, I won't be happy. Like, you're in for a rough ride because these things are going to happen. You might keep all your fingers, but a lot of those things are going to happen. So that being said, I hope that makes sense, right? The big, big, big important question is, how do we shift the perspectives we have inside, the core beliefs we have? It's like, okay, great, but just because you said it, Sean, doesn't mean I can all of a sudden just think that way. I'm not built that way, right? That's also a belief you're giving yourself. But the key is practice, because essentially you're walking around every day, all of us, and we have this little, voice in our head, and he's just narrating, or he or she is narrating everything. It's, oh, I don't like this. This is what's happening here. I can't believe this. And this is what I'm going to do later. So a lot of times we're meditating in our heads while we're going about our days, and we're meditating on things that are bad for us. We're complaining in our heads. We're blaming. We're doing all these things. So we're reinforcing all these negative thoughts, right? So instead of doing that, you have to practice doing the opposite. And since you've spent so many years probably doing the negative thing, it's going to take work to counteract that. Like, if you spent your whole life not knowing how to fight, and then you just watched one video on jiu-jitsu, you're not going to know jiu-jitsu. But if you implement a regimen to learn jiu-jitsu, well, then you will slowly learn jiu-jitsu and you will become better at it. And the same thing can be said for anything. And these thoughts are no different. So there are practices you can do. I've talked about meditation and how awesome it is. You can do conceptual meditation where you sit down and give yourself a mantra, peace and love to all beings, stuff like that. And you can repeat it as you focus on your breathing. You can do gratitude journaling or other journaling, but you want to be reinforcing good thoughts, positive thoughts, thoughts that make you feel good, that help you see the world in a positive light. And you want to keep practicing those. And you should, if you want to feel better, you should consider implementing these practices. Essentially, you've learned, maybe, to have these negative thoughts. And so after all this time, you have to replace them by doing the work of learning how to put positive thoughts in there. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this made sense. Makes sense to me. So, that's somebody. That's one of us. If you guys want to hear more, follow me on Instagram, Sean Plummer Coaching, and email me at sean@seanplummer.com if you want to chat. If not, I will see you next week for the next episode.